Good morning, MacLaren. Today is Monday, September 28th, 2020. The weather today, mainly sunny, high of just 58 degrees, so it will be nice and chilly today. The sun rose this morning at 6:52 a.m. and will set at 6:45 p.m. Last night at sundown was the start of Yom Kippur. That is the Day of Atonement, the holiest day of the year in Judaism. The central themes of Yom Kippur are atonement and repentance. Jewish people traditionally observe this very holy day with a 25-hour period of fasting and prayer, often spending most of the day in services in their synagogue. This concludes the annual period known in Judaism as the High Holy Days, or Yamim Nohaim, the days of awe, that began with Rosh Hashanah, the new year. One customary greeting around Yom Kippur is have a good fast or have a meaningful fast. It was on this date, September 28th, in the year 1066, the famous year 1066, the Battle of Hastings. September 28th, William the Conqueror landed in England, beginning the Norman conquest. So Normandy is a region of France. William the Conqueror was French, and he sailed across the English Channel and invaded, and that is why today we speak the English language in the way that we do. So before the Norman conquest, people in England spoke Anglo-Saxon or Old English, and it's a very guttural Germanic language. The beginning of Beowulf is written in Anglo-Saxon, and the beginning of Beowulf goes Wetwegardena in Yardegum Thud Kuninga Thrim Gafrunen. So it's a very guttural Germanic language. And then after the Battle of Hastings, after the Norman conquest, after the year 1066, all these French people came in and took over. And so in order for people to be successful in business, if you were a wine merchant and you wanted to sell wine to the people at court, you had to learn Norman French pretty fast. And even though William the Conqueror himself never learned English, and the nobility in England didn't speak English for hundreds of years after that, they still spoke French. But over time, their language, which came from Latin, was a Romance language, seeped into the English language, and so you have this marriage of Old English with Norman French, and that becomes over time, the English that we speak today, which has all of these different roots. It was also on this date, September 28th, in the year 935, that Duke Wenceslaus I of Bohemia today is the Czech Republic, was on this date that he was murdered by a group of nobles led by his little brother, the amazingly named Boleslaus the Cruel. Boleslaus the Cruel took over the dukedom of Wenceslaus I. And because Duke Wenceslaus was so horribly murdered, and there were all these popular biographies told about him afterwards, so he developed this reputation for heroism, and over time he became Saint Wenceslaus, and he was posthumously declared to be a king. So things that happen posthumously happen after someone's death. So Wenceslaus I was not a king in his lifetime, he was actually a duke, but he was posthumously declared to be a king and became the patron saint of the Czech state, which later became Czechoslovakia, which now today is the Czech Republic. Slovakia being a different country. Um, but we think of him today because he is the subject of the Christmas carol, Good King Wenceslas. Um, so we don't know if Good King Wenceslas looked out on the feast of Stephen and saw the snow lay round about deep and crisp and even. But we do know that his brother Boleslaus the Cruel led a group of people to assassinate him. So poor Duke Wenceslaus. Today, September 28th, is also the birthday of Confucius. Confucius, who was not really named Confucius, Confucius was born September 28th in the year 551 BCE, before the Common Era, traditionally BC, before Christ, so before the year 0 in our calendar. So Confucius was a teacher, a writer, an editor, a politician, and a philosopher. He's widely considered one of the most important and influential individuals in the history of the human race. And he remains influential today. His name was Kong, and he was called Master Kong. So Kong Fuzi, I think, and then Jesuit missionaries to China in the 1600s called him, they Latinized it and called him Confucius. So Confucius is perhaps best known in the Western world for all of these sayings that his followers and adherents wrote down and compiled in books. So I know second grade learns about Confucius a little bit when you're studying China. I thought I'd tell you a little bit about a few of his sayings just because they're lovely to think about. Confucius said that the nobler sort of man is dignified but not proud. The inferior man is proud but not dignified. Someone asked, how do you regard the principle of returning good for evil? The master, aka Confucius, the master said, what then is to be the return for good? Rather, you should return justice for injustice and good for good. The master said, Yen Ping knows the art of associating with his friends. However old the acquaintance may be, he always treats them with the same respect. Po Yi and Shu Qi never remembered old injuries, and therefore their enemies were few. Men's natures are alike. It is their habits that carry them far apart. Okay, my friends, if it is your birthday today, September 28th, 2020, happy birthday. If you had a birthday over the weekend, September 26th or September 27th, happy birthday. I hope you all have a day filled with kindness and friendliness and peace. We're all in it together. See you next time.